Today we are going to study English Reader of class 5th. In English Reader we are going to study chapter 7 which name is Granny's Fabulous Kitchen. Okay? And today we are going to study about this. Whenever Granny made vanilla or chocolate, she gave me some to take to Mohan, the gardener's son. It was no use taking to him roast duck or curried chicken, because in his house no one ate meat. But Mohan liked sweet gulab jamuns, rasgullas, jalebis, which were made with lots of milk and lots of sugar, as well as Granny's home made English sweets. We would climb into the branches of the jackfruit tree and eat fudge of peppermints of sticky toffee. We couldn't eat the jackfruit except when it was cooked as a vegetable or made into a pickle. But the tree itself was wonderful for climbing, and some wonderful creature lived in it: squirrels, bats, and a pair of green parrots. The squirrels were friendly and soon got into the habit of eating from our hand. They too were fond of Granny's chocolate fuzz. One young squirrel would even explore my pockets to see if I was peeping anything away from him. Mohan and I could climb almost any tree in the garden, and if Granny weren't looking for us, she would call from the front veranda and that from the pantry at the side of the house, and finally from her bathroom window on the other side of the house. There were trees on all sides, and it was impossible to which one we were in until we answered her call. Sometimes Crazy would give us away, we barking beneath our tree. When there was fruit to be picked, Mohan did the pickling. The mangoes and lychees came into season during the summer when I was away at boarding school, so I couldn't help him with the fruit gathering. The papayas were in season during winter, but you don't climb papaya tree. They are too slender and wobbly. You know the papayas down with a long pail and catch them before they hit the earth. Mohan also helped Granny with the pickling. She was justly famous for her pickle. Granny mangoes pickled in oil were always popular. So was her hot lime pickle, and she was quickly good at pickling turnips, carrots, cauliflowers, chilies, and other fruits and vegetables. She could pickle almost anything from nasturtiums, seed of jackfruit. Uncle Ken didn't care for pickles, so I was always arguing Granny to make more of them. My own preference was sweet chutneys and sauces, but I ate pickles too, even the very hot ones. One winter, when Granny's funds were low, Mohan and I went from house to house selling pickles for her. In spite of all these people and pets she fed, Granny wasn't rich. The house had come to her from grandfather, but there wasn't much money in the bank. The mango crop brought in a fair amount every year, and there was a small pension from the railway. Grandfather had been one of pensioners who helped bring a railway line to Dehra at the turn of the century, but there was no other income. And now that I came to think of it, all those wonderful meals consisted of only one course, followed by a sweet dish. It was Granny's cooking that turned a meal into a feast. I wasn't ashamed to sell pickles for Granny. It was great fun. Mohan and I armed ourselves with baskets filled with pickle bottles, then set off the corner cover houses in our area. Major Cracks across the road was our first customer. He had red hair and bright blue eyes and was almost good humored. And what have you got there, Rusty? He asked. Pickles, sir. Pickles. Have you been making them? No, sir. They are my grandmother's. We were selling them so we can buy a turkey for Christmas. Mrs. Bond's pickle, eh? Well, I'm glad mine is the first house on your way because I'm sure that the basket will soon be empty. There's no one who can make a pickle like your grandmother, son. I've said it before and I'll say it again. She's good. She's God's gift to the world. That's terribly short of good cooks. My wife's gone shopping so I can talk quite freely. You see, what have you got this time? Stuffed chilies, I trust. See? No, they are my favorite. I shall be deeply wounded if there are no stuffing chilies in the basket. There were, in fact, 3 bottles of stuffed red chilies in the basket, and Major Clark took all of them. Our next call was at Miss Kellner's house. Miss Kellner's couldn't eat hot food, so it was no use offering her pickle, but she bought a bottle of preserved ginger and she gave me a prayer book. Whenever I went to see her, she gave me a prayer book, and it was always the same. Further down the road, Dr. Dutt, who was in charge of hospital, bought several bottles of lime pickle, saying it was good for his liver, and Mr. Harry, who owned a garage at the end of the road and sold all the latest cars, bought 2 bottles of pickled onions and begged us to bring him another 2 the following month. By the time we got home, the basket would usually be empty and Granny richer by 20 or 30 rupees, enough in those days for a turkey. Uncle Ken stayed for Christmas and ate most of the turkey. It's high time you found a job, said Granny to Uncle Ken one day. There are no jobs in Dehra, complained Uncle Ken. How can you tell? You have never looked for one, and anyway, you don't have to stay here forever. Your sister Emily is headmistress of the school. Lucknow. In Lucknow. You could go to her. She said before that she was ready to put you in charge of dormitory. Bah, said Uncle Ken. Honestly, Aunt May, you don't accept to look after a dormitory. She think with 40 or 50 demented small boys. What demented? I asked. Shut up, said Uncle Ken. I mean crazy, said Granny. So many words mean crazy. I complained, why don't we just say crazy? We've a crazy dog, and now Uncle Kane's crazy too. Uncle Kane clipped me over the ear, and Granny said, your uncle isn't crazy, so don't be disrespectful. He is just lazy and eccentric. I said, I hear he was eccentric. Who said I was eccentric? Demanded Uncle Ken. Miss Leslie, I lied. I knew. Uncle Ken was fond of Miss Leslie, who ran a beauty parlor in Dehra's smart shopping center. I don't believe you, said Uncle Ken. Anyway, when did you see Miss Lazy? We sold her most some mint chutney last week. I told her you liked mint chutney, but she said brought it for Mr. Houghton, who's taking her to the pictures tomorrow. So these are our story about Granny's kitchen. Okay, I hope you read carefully this story. If you learn something in this story, then you can subscribe this channel for more videos like this. This story about Granny's kitchen, okay, who's selling their product like chutney, preserved ginger, and achar which made by her hands. Okay, I hope you like it.